When a company promises to protect your data, what's actually going on behind the scenes? Well, it turns out the difference between real security and just, empty words often comes down to the tools they're using. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the secret weapons that make privacy work in the real world. So, in a world that's just flooded with data laws and all these regulations, what's the one thing that really separates the best privacy pros from the rest? And here's a hint. It's not about memorizing some dusty legal textbook. It's all about having the right kind of tool and, just as important, the right mindset to cut right through all that complexity. And the answer really starts right here. The best, most effective tools, they aren't just thought up in some ivory tower. They are battle-tested. That means they've been thrown right into the chaos of a real data breach or a super complex international product launch, and they came out the other side stronger. We're not talking about theory here. We're talking about proven solutions that are ready to go. Okay, this right here gets to the absolute heart of it. Are the privacy tools being used designed by practitioners, the people who are actually in the trenches dealing with real messy problems every day, or are they from paper pushers who are more focused on just ticking boxes? One creates actual solutions, the other, it just creates more bureaucracy. And that's the core distinction we're going to be digging into. So yeah, let's start with the people behind the whole process. The source material draws this really sharp line in the sand between two mindsets, the practitioner and the paper pusher. And trust me, understanding this difference is, well, it's everything. Just look at this contrast. On one side, you've got the practitioner's toolbox. It's practical, it's organized, it's ready for pretty much any problem you can throw at it. But on the other side, you've got the paper pusher's mountain of paperwork. All theoretical, totally overwhelming, and it's probably going to fall apart under the first sign of pressure. See, the practitioner asks, does this actually solve the problem? The paper pusher asks, does this satisfy the rulebook? And the entire industry is now, finally, moving toward that toolbox. So, what is the problem that makes this whole practical approach so critical? Well, the reality is, the challenges facing privacy teams today are massive. They're global, and the stakes, they could not be higher. I mean, just think about it for a second. Nearly every company you interact with operates across borders. Their privacy teams aren't just following one simple set of rules. They're trying to untangle this spaghetti-like mess of international laws. A simple checklist just isn't going to cut it here. They need practical, specific guidance for these incredibly complex situations. Let's take something called a legitimate interest assessment, or an LIA. This is not a simple checkbox, folks. It's a formal, legally required balancing act. Imagine a scale. On one side, the company puts its reason for using your data, say to personalize an ad for you. But on the other side, they have to weigh your fundamental right to privacy. They literally have to prove the scale tips in a way that's fair, and they have to document every single step. If they get that balance wrong, whoa, the penalties can be huge.
And then you've got international data transfers, or IDTs. Every single time your data moves from a server in, let's say, Europe to one in the United States, that's an IDT. And this is hands down one of the most legally complicated areas of privacy, because different countries have vastly different rules. For any global company, this is a daily, critical, and frankly, stressful challenge.
Which brings us right back to the tools themselves, the secret weapon we talked about at the start. If the problems are this complicated, what in the world does the solution actually look like? Right, so the solution isn't another 500-page legal book that just sits on a shelf collecting dust. No, it's a framework built by people who have actually been in the trenches and faced these problems head-on. A truly battle-tested template creates a clear, consistent, and defensible path through all the chaos. It's a tool designed to cut through the noise, not add to it. So here's how it actually works. First, you start with that battle-tested framework. Then, you follow a practical checklist that's been designed for real-world scenarios, not just abstract theory. And the result? You get a clear path to achieving what used to be this really daunting goal, consistent, global privacy compliance. It basically turns a mountain into a series of totally manageable steps. Okay, so you might be wondering, is this all just for a handful of giant tech companies? I mean, are these really niche issues, or are these widespread challenges that privacy professionals everywhere are dealing with right now? So is this a widespread problem? Oh yeah, the data is crystal clear. We're talking about hundreds of professionals actively searching for these exact solutions. For example, we see 183 people needing help with that super complex balancing act we talked about, the legitimate interest assessment. And it doesn't stop there. Then you have another 152 who are looking for a proven, ready-to-use template to handle those tricky international data transfers. And then a staggering 206 needing a practical checklist just to navigate that global maze. So no, this isn't a niche issue. It's a chorus of professionals on the front lines, all asking for better tools. Okay, so let's wrap all this up by connecting it back to the most important person in this whole equation, you. Why should you care about the quality of a privacy professional's toolkit? Why does it matter to everyone? Here's the bottom line. The entire field of privacy is growing up. It's moving beyond pure legal theory and into the world of practical, effective action. And this shift isn't just some internal industry trend. When the people protecting your data have better, smarter tools, it leads directly to stronger, more meaningful privacy for all of us. So, if there's one thing you take away from this, let it be this. The next time you click Accept on a privacy policy, remember that the safety of your data doesn't just rest on the words in that document. It really rests on the quality of the tools being used by the people behind the scenes. When their tools are battle-tested and effective, your data is fundamentally safer. Period. And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought. As our digital lives become totally borderless and our data travels the globe in an instant, these challenges are only going to get more complex. It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other secret weapons will practitioners need to invent to truly protect our privacy in the years to come?